AEW have officially signed this top 3 agent, but first, the devil has struck again in all Elite Wrestling. AEW would host the latest episode of Dynamite last night, a show that would be main evented by a bout between AEW World Title #1 contender Jay White and former ROH World Tag Team Champion Mark Briscoe. Following Switchblade's win over Briscoe via a Blade Runner, MJF would catch Bullet Club Gold off guard when his entrance music played, only for him to show up behind them as they faced the entrance ramp. The AEW World Champion would knock them down one by one with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, this before only Jay White was left standing, his opponent at Full Gear. However, before Max could get his hands on the man that has stolen his title belt, White would slide out of the ring and up the ramp, once again evading contact with his upcoming opponent. The champ would then send a message to Switchblade ahead of their championship match at Full Gear, this before the lights went out. A live feed would then appear on the big screen, showing 4 masked men laying out Max's new allies, the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, even throwing Anthony Bowens through a pane of glass, reminiscent of an attack a few weeks ago on Jay White. The feed would then cut to a man wearing MJF's devil mask that was supposedly stolen from the champion, before he would then run back to help the Acclaimed, although the 4 men were gone before he could get there. Samoa Joe would then approach MJF, telling him that he's now running out of friends. This whilst Max is in the midst of finding a temporary tag team partner for Full Gear, where he would defend he and Adam Cole's ROH World Tag Team Championships against the Guns. The latest angle could perhaps point towards 2 individuals being behind the devil mask. First, the glass spot could be in reference to Jack Perry, who has been involved in some real glass-related drama as of late, or maybe it's Adam Cole pulling the strings. This after he's been pushing for MJF to choose Samoa Joe as his partner, with him maybe working to narrow down his options. Next up, a top AEW star has vacated their title. In the last segment, we discussed a confrontation between Samoa Joe and MJF, with the 2 men potentially set to team up next weekend at Full Gear. However, one thing we didn't mention is something that happened earlier in the night that adds an extra layer of complexity to the situation. On Dynamite last night, ROH television champion Samoa Joe would put his title on the line against fellow big man Keith Lee, a bout that came to an end via a referee decision after the Samoan submission machine forced his opponent to pass out after locking in the Coquina clutch. After the match, Joe would take to the mic to make a huge announcement, with him opting to bring an end to his 575-day record-breaking reign as Ring of Honor television champion, with him having a bigger goal in mind. And Joe would say, "What stands before you is the greatest Ring of Honor television champion of all time, but I did not come here to merely be your television champion. I said hunger is what defines the greats. Well, consider me officially hungry. As of tonight, I vacate the ROH television championship, because the next gold that's going to be on my shoulder will be the AEW World Championship, whether you like it or not, Max." It remains to be seen who will be in line to win the vacant television title in the future, although this will likely be a key focus of Ring of Honor TV in the coming weeks. But who do you think should be the next ROH television champion, and is it Mark Briscoe? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up, the Elite are set to go to battle against each other. With the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view less than 2 weeks away, the card for the event is beginning to take shape, with several matches already being confirmed for the night. With that said, last night's episode of AEW Dynamite would see yet another bout added to the show, involving 3 members of the Elite. Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, billed as the Golden Jets, would speak with Renee Paquette in a backstage interview, this ahead of their 8-man tag match next week on Dynamite. On that show, they will team with Paul White and Kota Ibushi to take on the Don Callis family. The duo would then be interrupted by the Young Bucks, who would take issue with Omega's friendship with his fellow Canadian, before wondering if he's forgotten about the group that made him. The challenge was laid out for a match between the 2 teams for Full Gear, this with the Bucks' tag team #1 contender status on the line. On top of this, if Jericho and Omega lose, they will no longer be able to team together going forward. This will be the first time that the Jackson brothers and Kenny will be on the opposing sides of a match since an April 2021 episode of Dynamite, where Omega would team with the Good Brothers to take on Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks in 6-man tag action. And next up, John Cena has once again hinted at retirement. At WWE Crown Jewel last weekend, John Cena would be on the losing side of his match with the Bloodline's Solo Sikoa, marking the youngster's biggest win of his career so far. This would lead to a question from commentator Michael Cole, who pondered if we can now call Sikoa the man that retired the quote greatest of all time, a sign that the 16-time world champion is hanging up his boots. To add to the speculation, Cena would later upload a photo to his Instagram page which showed former England football captain David Beckham in a PSG jersey during his last ever match in 2013. While Cena has once again taken to his Instagram to pour more fuel on the retirement fire. Last night, an image would appear on his profile that showed legendary baseball player Babe Ruth making his final public appearance at the Yankee Stadium in 1948, with this giving similar vibes to the previous Beckham post. It's also worth remembering that CM Punk once referred to Cena as the New York Yankees during their rivalry in 2011. John would also share an image of the end screen for the Looney Tunes, further clue that he's now stepping away from the ring. Another interesting point to mention is the fact that according to Variety, SAG-AFTRA have approved a tentative agreement to end the ongoing actors' strike that opened the possibility of John Cena's WWE return in the first place, with this agreement now set to go to the National Board for approval this Friday. This could have a significant impact on whether we see John Cena in a WWE ring anytime soon, and it will likely also play into whether The Rock works next year's WrestleMania in the main event against Roman Reigns. On top of that, this is likely good news for fans of Cody Rhodes. Next up, could CM Punk be New Japan Pro-Wrestling bound? Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks in WWE, is currently still absent from in-ring action following her injury in May at the NJPW Strong Resurgence event, where plans for her to become the brand's first ever women's champion were forced to change. In an interview with Fightful Select this week, New Japan talent liaison Rocky Romero would discuss the future of Mercedes in the company, and he would say that he would like to see the CEO back inside a New Japan ring once again, although he needs to speak to her and her agent in order to work something out. What that means for her contract status is unknown, although the public belief is that she did sign a deal with the company recently. Rocky would also be asked about working with two other former WWE stars. First, Ronda Rousey, who is beginning life on the independent scene following the expiration of her WWE contract. Romero feels that were Rowdy to join New Japan, she would fit perfectly and better than in any other company. Rocky would also discuss the possibility of a CM Punk appearance in New Japan, potentially at Wrestle Kingdom in January, something that he would love to see and feels would be possible despite the promotion's close ties to AEW. And he would say, "You never know. Obviously, we didn't get to do many crossovers when Punk was with AEW. There was supposed to be that Tanahashi and Punk match that never happened. I think Punk coming and doing Wrestle Kingdom or a big show like that could be, I think, great for our product. Obviously, getting fresh eyes and everything that he brings to merchandise and everything else. I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I know Tony Khan pretty well. I would probably give him the heads up, like, hey, this is what's going on, but I don't think he would have much to say about it. It's another company. He doesn't own New Japan, and even though we have a great partnership, I think it's fine and he'd be cool with it, and AEW would be cool with it." And next we have an update on this former world champion requesting their release. On October 28th, Fightful Select would report that former MLW World Heavyweight Champion Alex Hammerstone had requested his release from Major League Wrestling, a request that had been denied. Hammerstone himself would later take to X to confirm the report, noting that leaving MLW feels like the right move for him at this time. Well, last night Alex would once again provide an update to fans that have been asking about his current status, noting that the company are telling him something different to what they're telling the dirt sheets, and he would say,
Been getting a lot of questions and comments. Has MLW released me? Are they going to release me? What's my future in wrestling look like? Unfortunately, the update is that I'm not really sure at this point. I've tried several times to get on the phone with Court Bauer. It hasn't happened, unfortunately. The people in the office that I have been relegated to speaking with, the last I was told was that they were actually working towards a release. However, that was several weeks ago at this point. And then when they broke the story to the dirt sheets, they told them that they had actually no intention of releasing me. So I'm not sure if there's a miscommunication somewhere. I have not worked for the company in well over 100 days at this point, and I have not been contacted for any dates moving forward. It's been made pretty apparent to me at this point that they have no intention of using me moving forward, but their official statement was that they have no intention of releasing me. Unfortunately, unfortunately, that's the best I can update you guys with right now. I'm trying to stay optimistic and just trying to move forward one day at a time. I love this business, love this sport, and I want to continue doing it at a high level. Hopefully there's a resolution to this situation soon, but that's all I can tell you right now.
Following this statement, Game Changer Wrestling would announce that Alex Hammerstone is set to make his GCW debut on December 3rd at the upcoming What Is Your Choice event in Brooklyn, New York, with MLW seemingly opening the door to allow their former world champion to work outside dates whilst the ongoing contract saga continues. And finally, AEW have officially signed this top free agent. Over recent months, there's been questions as to what the future holds for former Goddess of Stardom champion Mariah May, who would compete in a farewell match in the promotion in late September. It's been reported that both WWE and AEW had shown an interest in signing the 25-year-old Brit to a contract. On last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, Mariah would make her All Elite Wrestling debut in a backstage interview segment with RJ City, where she would seemingly be positioned as a fan and future ally of timeless Toni Storm, whose vintage style promos have been the talk of the AEW women's division as of late. AEW president Tony Khan would then take to social media after the segment to confirm that Mariah May is officially All Elite, complete with her own graphic to boot, with the promotion adding yet another rising star to their talent pool. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 shocking Roman Reigns facts that WWE wants you to forget.